On June 22, 1941, the German army launched an attack on the Soviet Union. This marked the beginning of one of the deadliest conflicts in history, World War II. In this episode, we'll explore some of the most intense battles, terrifying weapons, and covert operations that defined this global war. From the Soviet Union to Europe and beyond, join us as we uncover the gripping stories behind the conflicts that shaped our world.
The Battle of Moscow. As the German army advanced into the Soviet Union, their goal was clear: capture Moscow, the capital city.
However, they soon encountered fierce resistance from the Red Army, despite being outnumbered. The Soviets fought bravely, slowing down the German advance and inflicting heavy casualties. This unexpected turn of events caught the Germans off guard, as they had underestimated the Soviet Union's determination to defend its homeland. The battle raged for months, with both sides suffering tremendous losses. But ultimately, the Red Army's tenacity and the harsh Russian winter proved to be the Germans' undoing. The failed invasion of Moscow marked a turning point in the war, boosting Soviet morale while dealing a significant blow to German prestige. Operation Barbarossa. After the failed invasion of Moscow, Hitler devised a new plan to conquer the Soviet Union: Operation Barbarossa. This massive offensive involved a three-pronged attack aimed at reaching vital resources in the Soviet Union. As the German army pushed eastward, they faced continued resistance from the Red Army, who employed scorched earth tactics, leaving the advancing troops with little supplies or support. Despite the setbacks, Hitler remained determined to achieve his goals. He ordered his troops to advance further into the Soviet Union, but they soon encountered even greater challenges. Harsh weather conditions and logistical problems began to take their toll on the German forces, weakening their ability to fight. With dwindling resources and a weakened army, Germany's plans to dominate the Soviet Union were ultimately thwarted. The failure of Operation Barbarossa would have far-reaching consequences, diverting much-needed resources away from other fronts and contributing to the eventual defeat of the German army. Secret weapons of war. During World War II, both sides developed and deployed a range of deadly weapons to gain the upper hand over their enemies. The Germans introduced the V-1 and V-2 rockets, which were designed to cause maximum destruction and terror in enemy cities. These flying bombs were equipped with powerful explosives and could travel at high speeds, making them difficult to intercept. The Allied forces, too, developed advanced weaponry, including the atomic bomb. On August 6th and 9th, 1945, the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to the end of World War II. The devastating power of these weapons forever changed the course of history and ushered in the atomic age. Covert operations. The war was not just fought on the battlefield, but also in the shadows through covert operations. One notable example was Operation Mincemeat, a British plan to deceive the Germans about the location of the Allied invasion in World War II. The operation involved planting false information and documents on a dead body, which was then discovered by the Germans, leading them to believe that the Allied forces would land in Greece instead of Italy. As a result, the Germans made defensive preparations in Greece, diverting troops and resources away from the actual invasion site. This successful deception operation contributed to the success of the Allied invasion and highlights the importance of intelligence and wide psychological warfare during wartime. Hitler's retreat to the bunker. As the war situation deteriorated and the Allied forces closed in on Germany, Hitler retreated to his underground bunker in Berlin. Surrounded by his inner circle, he resisted calls to end the war and surrender. Instead, he clung to the belief that Germany would eventually emerge victorious. However, with the Red Army approaching the city, food and supplies became scarce inside the bunker, leading to a breakdown in order and increasing paranoia among Hitler's staff. Eventually, as the battle for Berlin intensified, Hitler and his wife, Eva Braun, took their own lives rather than face capture by the Soviets. The fall of Hitler and the subsequent end of World War II marked a turning point in history, bringing an end to the deadliest conflict in human history: the Battle of Stalingrad. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the most brutal and decisive battles of World War II. It took place in the Soviet city of Stalingrad, now known as Volgograd, between August 1942 and February 1943. The battle was fought between the German and Italian forces, along with their allies and the Soviet forces. The German plan was to capture the city's oil fields and manufacturing facilities, which were essential to the Soviet war effort. The battle was characterized by intense street fighting, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Soviets, under the command of General Vasily Chukov, fought fiercely to defend the city. They used a combination of military tactics and civilian volunteers to repel the German attacks. Despite suffering significant losses, the German forces, led by Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus, managed to capture a large portion of the city. However, they were unable to completely defeat the Soviet forces. The tide of the battle turned when the Soviet army launched a counteroffensive in February 1943. The Germans were forced to retreat, leaving behind thousands of dead and wounded soldiers. The Battle of Stalingrad is considered a turning point in World War II. It marked the beginning of the end for the German army, which never recovered from their defeats in the Soviet Union. The battle also demonstrated the resilience and determination of the Soviet people, who played a crucial role in defending their country against the Nazi invaders. The Battle of Midway. The Battle of Midway was a pivotal battle in the Pacific theater of World War II. It took place on June 4–7, 1942, near the Midway Atoll. The battle was fought between the Imperial Japanese Navy and the United States Navy. The Japanese plan was to lure the U.S. fleet out into the open ocean and destroy it. They also aimed to capture the Midway Atoll, which was a key strategic position in the Pacific. The battle was one of the most important naval engagements of the war. It was fought primarily between aircraft carriers and their fighter planes. The U.S. Navy, under the command of Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, was able to decode the Japanese battle plans and was prepared for the attack. The Japanese fleet was caught off guard by the U.S. aerial assault and suffered heavy losses. 4 Japanese aircraft carriers were sunk, and thousands of Japanese sailors were killed or captured. The Battle of Midway was a major turning point in the Pacific War. It marked the end of Japanese expansion in the Pacific and the beginning of the island-hopping campaign that would eventually lead to the defeat of Japan. The battle also demonstrated the importance of naval aviation and intelligence in modern warfare. Hitler's Eastern Front strategy. When World War II began, Hitler's plan for the Eastern Front was based on a number of key objectives. Firstly, he aimed to eliminate the threat posed by the Soviet Union to German security by occupying a large portion of its territory. Secondly, he sought to acquire vital resources such as oil and grain, which were abundant in the Soviet Union. Hitler also hoped to win over the support of the non-Russian populations within the Soviet Union, such as the Ukrainians and Baltic peoples who were unhappy with Soviet rule. To achieve these objectives, Hitler planned to employ a strategy of lightning-fast attacks, known as blitzkrieg, which involved using fast-moving armored divisions to break through enemy lines and quickly capture key objectives. He also planned to rely heavily on air power to support ground operations and to cut off enemy supply lines. Additionally, Hitler believed that the war in the East would be shorter than those in the West because of the supposed weakness of the Red Army. Despite these plans, Hitler's ultimate goal was still the conquest of Moscow, which he believed would lead to the collapse of the Soviet Union. However, this proved to be a costly and ultimately unsuccessful endeavor. The Enigma Code. The Enigma Code was a sophisticated encryption system used by the German military during World War II. Developed in the early 1930s, it was considered virtually unbreakable, providing secure communication for German military operations. The encryption process involved a machine that used rotating wheels to change the correspondence between letters, making it extremely difficult to decipher. The Enigma code was used extensively throughout the war, protecting sensitive information such as troop movements and battle plans. However, the British codebreakers at Bletchley Park managed to crack the Enigma code in 1932, providing them with valuable intelligence about German activities. This breakthrough was kept secret until the end of the war and had a significant impact on the outcome of several major battles, including the Battle of Britain. The fact that the Allies were able to read German communications gave them a significant advantage, allowing them to anticipate German moves and coordinate their defenses effectively. The breaking of the Enigma code remains one of the most significant intelligence successes in history and played a crucial role in the Allied victory in World War II. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe for more historical insights. We appreciate your support and hope you continue to learn with us. Thanks for watching.